Good afternoon. I'm so used to doing these at 11 a.m. on Tuesdays that this episode we happen to make a 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. So I'm so used to saying good morning. It is afternoon, but enough about that. My name is Jay Vix. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Experts. And this is a video podcast where we let other people tell their story, want to learn about other people's businesses, gives us a chance to get to know some other businesses that are out there. So we're talking with business owners, experts in their field, and when it's a really good episode, it's a business owner who's also an expert in their field. So today we have one of those actually. And we also started this show back in 2020, kind of as a, let's see where this goes. And we were originally calling it Meet the Local Experts. And I was like, how can we get, how can we talk to business owners who are in the Greensboro or the Triad area of North Carolina, which is where we are? And over time, we've realized that, yeah, we like doing the local interviews, but there's so many businesses and business owners out there around the country. I mean, heck, around the world. We haven't done any international yet, but just expanding and opening this up. And if you own a business or are a subject matter expert and you'd like to be a guest on Meet the Experts, stick around, because after the episode, I'll tell you how easy it is to be a guest. Today's guest happens to be a fellow networker here in the Greensboro area. His company is called M7 Technology Solutions. His name is Scott Elkins, and I'm going to go ahead and bring him on up. Hey, Scott, how are you?
Hey, Jay. Doing great.
Awesome. Let's so glad to have you on the show. I think IT solutions in general, managed IT, helping businesses with their computers, with their networks, with their antivirus, with their security. I feel like there's always a need, right? Because things evolve so fast and it's so fast moving. But and that's what I'm excited to dive into here. But first, give me a little background on you and how long you've been in business here in the Triad.
Certainly. So I started off about 8 years ago after coming out of a law firm that I worked with for nearly 18 years, and had nowhere else to go as far as the law firm company. So I stepped out on my own.
All right. That's so you were doing IT work for the law firm?
That's correct. I managed all of their IT infrastructure, people, etc.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So what got you into it in the first place?
I guess you could say I was born into it. Both of my parents started their careers in technology, mainframes mostly, in the late 60s. I was not born until the 70s. Won't tell you exactly when.
Me too. Me too.
But I grew up with technologies, computers, going to the office with them on snow days or teacher work days and things. I've been around it all my life.
Love that. And I think during our pre-interview talk, I mentioned how I was in a former life, I was an IT manager, although it was not my favorite thing to do. And I always like the sales and marketing aspect of business a lot more than the computers. But what you just said there, kind of being born into it in snow days, I remember going to work with my dad, who's an accountant. And when you said this, it triggered it. I remember going to work with him one time when I wasn't in school, and he had me working on a computer. This had to be 1985, 86 time frame, maybe 87. But he had me on a spreadsheet and I was just putting in some numbers for him. And it was like, just one of those tedious things that I understood how to do it even better than him. He's like, you do this, not me, And I remember helping him with his computer stuff. And to this day, I'm still helping my parents and my wife and lots of people with their computer related things, but not my favorite thing to do. So for sure. Speaking of favorite thing to do, talk to me a little bit about some of your favorite aspects of your job and favorite part of your work.
The favorite part for me, the part I enjoy the most, is coming in, talking to the clients, meeting people, understanding their business, and then giving them a solution that either saves money or improves processes or what have you. And just seeing the thankfulness and expressions in their face, in their words, etc. Those are my just magnificent moments. So,
I love that. I mean, think about it. When you come in, you literally can save the day for them. You can literally save a business, right? With some of the things that you do. I know I want to ask you some more specific questions regarding like the news of the day with IT, and maybe if we have some time at the end, I'll see what what insights you might be able to throw out. But you mentioned something in there about just the almost the relief, the saving money, that happiness, that joy. We talk about it in marketing. We say that I didn't come up with this, but that we don't sell products and services. We sell transformations, right? And you nailed it. You were, it's sure, you can put them on a managed IT plan. You can give them antivirus. You can set up their network with a good firewall. But that's not really what they want. They want the protection. They want the happiness. They want the money saving. They want all those benefits that come with it. And that's awesome that's your favorite part of the work too. So very cool.
right.
So there are lots of managed IT companies in the world, right? Just like there's lots of digital marketing agencies in the world. So, we're in competitive environments. So in your industry, what would you say sets you apart and makes you unique?
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, I got my start in IT working in corporate America, having to interview and go through the processes of proposals and things from multiple vendors and pick the best one. So I've been on the other side of this consulting gig for actually for longer than I've been doing consulting. So that's part of it. I know what my customers want because I've been there.
Mm.
I took those experiences that I had with my previous consultants and took the good and try to incorporate those into my company, take the bad and try to avoid those. So hopefully from that, I come out with a much better value and much better service than some competitors. The other thing is I do not require any long-term contracts. So a lot of managed service providers, a lot of IT companies want to be a managed service provider only. And while that's a great cash flow for them, there's still a lot of companies out there who don't want to pay monthly for something they may or may not get much benefit out of. So that's where I've been coming in lately, especially. It's taking over IT for companies that they don't want to pay that monthly fee. They just want to call when they need you.
Mm-hmm.
And so even for the managed services that I provide, it's a month-to-month process. I do the work for you, you pay me, and we get along fine that way.
I'll tell you, I think the on-demand, there's something to be said for the on-demand service where they need something and then you just go do it. And then if you need something else, you call me. There's a lot to be said for that. And I almost feel like that's how things used to be. And then there was this shift to recurring. And now I feel
Right.
like businesses are in some industries are over the recurring. And I could see how that could be one of them. Do you still offer recurring services if somebody wanted to be on a retainer or maintenance?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just don't require a 1 year, 2, 3, whatever year contract with that.
Okay.
Mine is a month to month. If I haven't met your needs or exceeded, then next month you can go to the next IT company. You're not tied into me for 12 months or more.
I love that. We do the same thing in our agency. We tell people, look, it's going to take 6 to 12 months probably for a lot of what we do to really
Sure.
gain some traction. but there's no contract. We just try to set the expectations up front. So I do love that model. I think that's really good. So what it's IT means a lot, and it probably a lot of different things to a lot of different people, right? It's computer repair, computer networks, firewalls, antivirus, all these different things. But and I'm probably nailing some of your the answer to this question. But what are a few of those common types of issues that maybe you help a business with?
The full spectrum, anything from question and answer. I mean, this is a bit simplistic and not very realistic, but if they call me up and say, how do I do a strike through in Word? Okay, I can walk somebody through that real quick over the phone. I also do break fix. So it breaks, you call me, I come in and fix it. You mentioned earlier endpoint protection. I also do cloud services such as Microsoft's 365. Several clients have server implementations that I've helped them upgrade or maintain. Virtual server storage, business continuity, formerly known as backup and recovery, is very big right now, as it has been for a while. But also the security, you mentioned the firewall, but also segmenting your guest and your private network so that one does not allow folks into the other. I have recently started taking on more of the telecommunications, so internet services, voice over IP, fax. Those are things that I don't provide them directly. I provide them through my partners. Same type of thing with copiers. I have partners that I work with on copiers. And last and probably the most important one, especially for places that don't have an IT staff, is I provide what's called a virtual CIO. So that's a Chief Information Officer. And what they do is to help plan and budget for your IT needs, more of a strategy, and look at what kind of expenditures you're going to need in the near future.
Warms my heart, Scott. Warms my heart. I mean, we've been operating as fractional CMOs for the last couple of years, and a lot of times you talk about that, and people still are just kind of scratch their head. You know, what does that mean? I think the fractional or virtual, as you said it, that part-time executive is needed by so many small business owners who otherwise couldn't afford a full-time CIO or CMO, right? And to be able to just say, look, if I can come in and help you, I may not be the one to do all of the work, but I will at least find you the best price, the best provider, and you can pay me to get that type of advice, that type of suggestion, and then you still kind of run the ship for them, right? And then, I think that it's becoming more widely known, but I think we're still a couple of years out from like that mainstream people that just understand what a fractional CIO is or
Right.
CMO. I know somebody who does human resources. You might know him too, here locally in Greensboro, who's like a fractional HR person, officer, right? So very cool. I think that is really cool. If anybody's watching this and here or on the replay and you have questions or comments, go ahead and put those in the box. One of the things I wanted to do, Scott, before we get to well, I guess it kind of ties in nicely, is the last question I wanted to have was, how can people get in touch with you privately? I do have a ticker going across the bottom of the screen there that people can get a hold of you by phone or email. But you sent me a link for people just to go ahead and book a meeting with you. I want to go ahead and put that in the comments while we're talking. But what are the best ways? What's your preferred way for people to get in touch with you if they've got a problem, they've got a fire, and they need you to put it out?
Well, my preferred way is whatever is most comfortable for you, the customer. Now, you mentioned if you've got a fire, you got something urgent. Yes, it's always best to call. Text come up. I get a lot of text, and I may not get to it very quickly. Email, the same thing, especially if I'm working at another client. But when the phone rings, I look at it. I know who you are. I answer and see what's going on. See if I need to balance my work between the current customer and this urgent need. So yes, you can call me 336-338-1590, or you can email. That's SELKINS at m7ts.com. You can also reach out
M7ts.com.
on our webpage, has a contact us form if you want to go that way.
Perfect. And as you wrap that up, it was perfect because we're seeing the email address selkins at m7ts.com and 336-338-1590, M7 Technology Solutions. Scott, you've been great. Is there anything going on right now in the world of IT, or maybe more specifically small business? I know we didn't kind of talk about going here, but I feel like before we wrap up, anything going on right now with businesses that's you're seeing a lot of that you might want to throw out a nugget of advice or suggestion for small business owners?
Well, one little special piece of advice that I don't hear from many of my competitors has to do with your mobile devices. First off, make sure they're automatically updating. But second of all, if you haven't used an application in a month or two, delete it.
Interesting.
Don't know what it is, or if it's something that's tied into the operating system of your phone, the phone's not going to let you delete it. But otherwise, get rid of the unused apps. The more apps you have, the more vulnerability vectors there are.
Wow, that's scary. I have so many apps on my phone that it makes me think of that. So, all right, well, there it is. If you haven't used an app in a while and it's not one that came preloaded that you can't get rid of, go ahead and get rid of it. I know I could probably get rid of about 30 apps just because of that. So that's downright scary that you don't think about those being all the extra vulnerabilities. So
Right.
Cool. Well, Scott, thank you so much for being a guest today. It's been wonderful having you. I can't wait to get you this video. You were a great guest, and stick around backstage. I'll be with you in just a minute, but thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Jay.
Awesome. All right. That's awesome. So that just blew my mind, right? If you have apps on your phone that you haven't used in over a month, go through and just delete them. We have a tendency to want to hold on because we might use them again in a couple weeks. Well, if you're going to use them again in a couple weeks, I guess you could just reinstall it. But that makes sense. You could run into some trouble. All right. Well, that was an awesome interview with Scott Elkins of M7 Technology Solutions. And like I mentioned at the beginning, if you would like to be a guest on a future episode of Meet the Experts, I'm going to update this ticker, I promise, but you can still go to guests.advertisinggreensboro.com. I'd rather at this point, actually, you know what? I'm going to update this live right here. Guests.howto.agency is the new way to get onboarded to be a guest. Being a guest doesn't cost you a dime. Would love to have you come on the show, be a guest. Talk about your business, tell your story. That's why we exist. It's a real easy process to sign up. It's a form, and then you book a pre-interview where I'll get to know you a little bit prior to the actual interview, and then we'll schedule a date for your live episode, much like we did with Scott to come on today. And love to have you. So, like I said, all you have to do is own an established business. Hopefully, you've been around a couple of years, or be a subject matter expert and you just want to talk about some field of knowledge that you have, and we can dive deep into it on the next episode of Meet the Experts. Thanks for tuning in. Again, Jay Vicks with the howto.agency of JVI Mobile Marketing, and we'll see you in 2 days. I got another episode coming up on September 8th, this Thursday. So be on the lookout for that, and I'll see you Thursday. Take care, everyone.